Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
The energy revealed. Brooklyn to Queens, reppin' both hoods. Rob and CP, keep it fire, misunderstood. Cheer 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city stand lights to the skyline greens, it's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. Rob hype on the mic, CP's the fire spark. Together they ignite, voices like the park fans drift in jerseys. Legacy bold, the Metropolitan story forever told. Turnstile spinning, the crowd floods the gates. This is family, no time for debates. Crack of the Batman, the roar never fades. Queens in the blood, it's how champions are made. Cheer 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city stand lights to the skyline gleams, it's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. 7-line swagger, vibes electric and wild. Mets legacy golden since I was a child. Orange crushed skies, let the battle ignite. Ride for the home team till the last fight.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the amazing Mets pregame show right here on the channel and on X. And the Mets find another way to torment us as New York Mets fans, as that was a gut punch to the sternum yesterday, as we finally get a big hit with runners in scoring position, but it doesn't show up in the stat line because Marte got thrown out at home plate to end the game, and the New York Mets lose another one. Now we're 10 games over 500, 3.5 out of the division, and they still are decently placed in the wild card, which is nowhere you want to be, thinking about, as the Mets are in the third wild card right now. Was it 3.5 games, if I'm not mistaken? Let me just double check to give you a good. Yes, 3.5 games up on the Reds right now, and I do understand that it has been a just complete disaster. They have not played well. The offense continues to be bad, but let me state, the New York Mets offense did give them a 2-0 lead, right? It would be nice if pitching can hold it for once. That has been a theme that has not taken place since May. Let's be honest about that, guys, right? You had a 2-0 lead. Right? Kodai Senga can't blow up in the 5th inning. Right? The bullpen was perfect after that. And that was the moment when the offense needed to wake the hell up and do what they needed to do to win this ball game. But they also gave the pitcher and Kodai Senga a 2-0 lead. Right? Again, this is the situation that I continue to talk about with the pitching. Right? The offense from the 5th inning on, they had opportunities to do what they needed to do. They had opportunities to do what they needed to do. They needed to do it 100%, right? But again, it would be nice for our starters to hold leads when you get them. We can't keep on giving the bullpen no leads. How many times already since the trade deadline has this bullpen came in while we're trailing? That has everything to do with the rotation. That has everything to do with the rotation. So, as much as I'm annoyed with the offense from the 5th inning on, I need a starter to hold leads. I need the bullpen that is revamped, that everybody seems to like, to actually have leads when they're in ball games. Right? I checked. I was curious. I was very curious. I'm like, how many times have our revamped bullpen, our high leverage guys, have come into games when they had a lead, regardless of what inning it is, but they had a lead since the All-Star break? One. One. Every other time they came into a game in high leverage situations and high leverage relievers was One time. So what does that say? One, that is the starting pitcher is giving the bullpen a deficit, and the offense isn't tacking on runs or making it a lead. So it's a combination of both, right? When both are not doing well, you're going to have a hard time winning. And again, this is what I talk about. It doesn't matter if you have a really good bullpen and a lot of good names and a lot of high leverage relievers if you're not using them in situations when you're winning. It's pointless. This bullpen doesn't matter if you don't have leads going into those innings. Yeah, but committee, I don't care. These guys are doing their jobs. For the most part, they're doing their jobs. But here's the problem. Every time this bullpen, these high leverage guys, Soto, Scott, Soto, Helsley, Rogers, all those guys, you want to throw Garrett in there, you want to throw, Diaz in there, we throw all those guys in there. How many times they've been coming in when the Mets are trailing? Again, they haven't been trailing once when high leverage relievers have come in since the trade deadline. They have to be absolutely perfect, and they've been nearly perfect for the most part. The only one was that hiccup with Rogers the other day. Other than that, they've been perfect. They've been pretty damn good. But when you trail every single time they're coming in, you're wasting the good arms when you need them. Like, look at how many arms you used yesterday, because Senga was a waste of time yesterday. Right? Everybody's going to say, well, he only gave up 2 earned runs. People are going to use that lame excuse. Yet the guy cannot go past the 5th inning. He can't get out of 5th innings. The guy is an absolute joke. If you want to continue to support that guy and try to act like he's better than he actually is, go right ahead. I can't stand the guy. It's the 5th inning woes. Most of the Mets pitchers do it. Like, it's a trend. But Kodai Senga is leading that pack. He is absolutely disgusting. This guy, I can't wait until the Mets get rid of him. I don't like him at all. It's absolutely embarrassing what he's done. He completely has to change the entire rotation's schedule because he can't pitch every 50 like a normal major leaguer. You're in the league 3 years now. Now, I understand you were hurt last year, but you have to adapt. You can't always get what you want. If you can't adapt, you're not a good pitcher. You can't be, have all these freaking rules and change everybody else's. And I think this is a bigger problem than people are letting on. Don't think for a second that the Kodai Senga issue with giving him an extra day or even another day, most of the time he's pitching on the 6th day, but occasionally the Mets have no problem trying to give him a 7th day. When it backs him up, it backs everybody else up. It gives them an extra day off. And some pitchers who are used to not throwing with extra rest and like to throw on the 5th day don't get that opportunity because of Kodai Senga. And let's throw Clay Holmes in there, who also can't do it. So that is a problem within itself, and it's been a problem all season. Right? It doesn't work. At some point, he has to adapt. If he doesn't adapt, then throw him in the fucking bullpen. Like, seriously. Like, these guys can't get through a game. Like, I'm sorry. Kodai Senga had a 2-0 lead. Can you freaking hold it? Please? You got to hold it. Give our bullpen a lead so they can be shut down as they mostly been since the trade deadline. We constantly use our high leverage arms while we're trailing. And whose fault is that? Now, it's a combination. It's the offense and it's the pitching. It's the rotation. But just think, guys. Just think for a second. The Mets were one of the best teams in baseball in close games in April and May. Why? Because the pitching was good, but the pitching was actually getting through a 5th inning at times, right? It was actually possible. I know we don't think so, but it's possible. They were pitching very much better. And when you pitch better and you give your bullpen a lead that was actually pretty good until June, it's easier to try to hold a lead than try to have a deficit get larger. That has been the problem. Yeah, but Alex, the Mets, I'm sorry. You guys are wrong in this situation. The Mets had a 2-0 lead going into the 5th. I'm sorry. Can the pitching actually hold it? Like, I'm sorry. I'm sick and tired of it. Like, it's so the pitching is immune from winning close games. That's what everybody's telling me. Has the offense been good? Stop only blaming the offense. There's not enough people blaming the pitching, and it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. You got a 2-0 lead. It's not great. I'm telling you right, look, I'm blaming the offense from the 5th inning on, right? They didn't do shit. You got 5 hits in the game, not good enough. I'm on board. But you did give your starter a 2-0 lead. Why does Kodai Senga have to blow up in the 5th inning? He was economical. He had like 60 pitches in the 5th inning. Going into the 5th inning, he ended up with 87. That's not good enough. Alex, no, I'm not. Because it would be nice for the pitching. The pitching don't hold leads anymore. The starting rotation don't hold leads. Every time the bullpen has come in is because they gave up leads. No matter what the score is, they've gave up leads. How about shutting the team down for once? Because we're constantly giving up 4, 5, 6 runs per game with this pitching staff. It's a blow-up inning, right? Kodai Senga can't catch a high hopper and throw the guy out at first when he had time. And that error led to a home run the very next at bat. You got to stop. Like, do the job. How about this? You know your offense is bad, right? Nobody was talking about the offense in April and May because the pitching was so good. It was okay for them to win close games then, right? No, it was okay. But now that the pitching can't hold it at all, especially the rotation, and they blow up every 4th or 5th inning, guess what happens? The bullpen that is revamped, that has been good since the trade deadline, has to come in the deficit. Now, I agree with you. When the bullpen is holding the other team, at bay, and you're on a 1-run, 2-run deficit, yes, the offense needs that blame. They got to do that job. Like, again, I'm going to give the 5th inning on where they had opportunities to either tie the game or go ahead. They did. But again, this bullpen is being wasted. This is what I talked about. This bullpen is going to be completely overused. We used 5 pitchers yesterday. 5 out of the bullpen. 5 pitchers out of the bullpen because Kodai Senga is a waste of a rotation spot. Like, at this point, if you're going to throw 4 innings every start, give me Noah McLean, give me Brandon Sproat, Joe Atong, I don't care. Maybe they can go 5 innings and pitch better. Maybe they actually give a lead to the bullpen for once. This rotation does not give leads, no matter what it is. If it's 1-0, 2-0, 3-2, doesn't matter. They continuously give their bullpen a deficit. And again, I am blaming the lineup, 100%. 100%. But can the rotation actually give a lead to the bullpen that they have not done since the trade deadline? And they've been doing that prior to that too. They haven't done that. Like, it's a problem. It's continuing to be a problem because at the same time, every time you get into the middle of the game, the lineup has to fight back. And of course, you're going to be squeezing the bat a little tighter. The pressure is going to be on because everybody knows about the offense not being good. Like, it would be nice that, hey, that 2-0 lead was handed over to the bullpen, even if he got through the 5th inning and you wanted to take him out. I would have been pissed off. But let's say you got out of the 5th inning still having a lead, even if it was 2-0, 2-1. At least it would have been better. At least the bullpen that has been really good since the trade deadline actually has been holding it down. Yeah, Brad, I don't even think so. I think Senga is one of the biggest problems. I think he's a bigger problem than Clay Holmes. He's 100% because you know what? Clay Holmes can actually give a decent start. Right? He actually can get in the 5th inning and finish it. Now, he can't do anything else after that. But Senga has pitched 4 1/3, 4 2/3, 4 and 5 innings his last 5 starts. Like, you can't do that. Senga is the worst of the worst. Because, again, this is why I just don't understand why people don't get it with Senga. And Brad, I love you, but Senga is a problem. This guy gets an extra day off, if not 2 extra days off, every time he pitches, and he gives too many of these performances. He's way too inconsistent for a guy that gets more days off than anybody else in this rotation. That can't be the case. At the very least, I talked about this all the time, right? 3 runs, 2 earned, and 1 earned run. He gave up a total of 3 runs, but 2 earned. And it was by the hands of himself, by the way. The fact that he can't do that is a major problem. It is a huge problem. Like, what is the point of giving him this extra? Even if he's not pitching, and he wasn't pitching terrible. Like, that's the thing. If he gave up the 3 runs, all right. But can you get to the 6th inning? You can't have a 30-pitch inning and then completely just be irrelevant the rest of the game. He should have had he had 61 pitches going into that 5th inning. There is no reason why he couldn't complete a 6th inning. And again, if he gave up the 3 runs, fine. No, all right, shit happens. But can you give your bullpen length? When he gets taken out of a game, it's either because he gave up leads, and in that inning that he gave up leads, he throws a 30-pitch inning. And then he's out of the game. Like, if you're going to give up a lead, all right, you know what? You're human. I understand that. It's baseball. Shit happens. Things happen like that. You're placing a good team. But you know what? Battle. Kodai Senga does not battle. He falls apart every single time. He is the biggest problem. He's more of a problem than Clay Holmes, because at least Clay Holmes battles through a 5th inning, right? He might throw 30 pitches, but he'll battle and give you a 5th inning. Kodai Senga doesn't battle. He falls apart at the seams, and then you have to get taken out where you still have 2 outs to go in the 5th inning, because he can't even get through a 5th inning, even only giving up 3 runs, and 2 of them were earned. That shouldn't be the end-all be-all for Kodai Senga when he does that. If you're going to throw a 30-pitch inning, at least finish the goddamn inning. Let a bullpen guy come in a fresh inning. It's been too many times and people can say, oh, he's coming back from injury. Nonsense. All right, nonsense. It's game number 5 already. Wake up. This guy is a joke. I'm sick and tired. Yeah, good too. Wonderful. Why is he the best starter? Because you're gonna point to the ERA. You're gonna pick, but yeah, he's had the least amount of innings out of mostly all the guys in this rotation. The guy's a joke. I'm sorry. No, it's not about. I mean, you guys are so brainwashed by Kodai Senga because you want to see that ghost fork pitch. But oh, by the way, how did that pitch work out yesterday? Right? You see how they were laying off, as I said in the pregame yesterday. The biggest issue with him, they're not swinging at that ghost fork pitch enough to warrant it being a very enticing pitch. It was, but it's not anymore. I'm sorry. Committee, I agree with you. That's the problem. He's not physically and mentally tough. Yeah, Alex, and that's the other problem. He's often injured, and that is the other problem. He's rarely available. He doesn't pitch good enough to be warranted a number 2 starter or even an ace, as some had put it in the beginning of the year. Because if he was an ace or even a top 2 starter, why didn't he pitch the first 3 games of the year in Houston? When you had to have Clay Holmes be the opening day starter. When you threw out David Peterson. When, people were excited about David Peterson, thought he was going to take a step up, which he has. But Kodai Senga didn't even pitch in that series. He pitched in the second series against the Marlins. Like, that's a joke. Yeah, Dolo, understandable. Japanese pitchers prepare differently. But you know what they do when they get to the U.S.? Now, you might do it the first year. You might be careful, right? To make them adjust, right? Gradually get them to every 5th day. They don't do that. You know why they don't do that? Because he can't. He has a 5 ERA when he pitches on normal rest, on a 5th day, like a normal pitcher in Major League Baseball. Like, that's the problem. Like, that is the problem. Eventually you have to transition to an every 5th day. Like, all you do is hurt other guys in your rotation. Not every guy likes having an extra day because sometimes they might be too strong. And I do think that it hurts the other guys. I truly think so. I think it does. I think being too strong, you might not have enough bite to your breaking ball or your off-speed pitches because you're a little bit too strong. You might be throwing it a miles an hour over or 2 miles an hour over you normally do, and it doesn't break as much. Doesn't have as much movement. That's a problem. Like, yeah, but you know what though? Let's not act like nobody wanted Senga. All right, everybody wanted Senga, right? I mean, we failed on other pitching Japanese pitchers, right? And here's the thing, right? You know, with Yamamoto, right? He was gradually changing it over too, right? He was getting an extra day rest when they can, but for the most part, he's pitching every 5th day. But they were giving him extra days off every now and then, which is fine. I have no problem with that. If you want to, mess around in April and give a lot of extra days off to Kodai Senga, you can't be doing this in prime time in August and September. It doesn't work. And that's why when it comes to the playoffs, you guys are going to be very much annoyed at the situation that Kodai Senga in a short series is only pitching once when he should be one of your top 2 starters, if not the top starter. Like, that's the problem. Like, that is the problem. And yeah, Brad, in Japan, they pitch every 6th day, but they gradually adjust in Major League Baseball. Right? With the Dodgers, when they had Roki Sasaki and they have Yamamoto, you got 2 Japanese pitchers. So that's a lot to deal with in a rotation. But when you got Glass now, when you got guys that are better than everybody the Mets have, and again, people say, well, they're often injured. Yeah, but they eventually come back. And when they come back, they're already better than Mets pitching. Well, Ohtani is better than Senga. But again, the guy has been hurt. And again, Senga doesn't bat. Senga doesn't hit 40-plus home runs. Senga doesn't have 100 RBIs. Big difference. So, again, the Dodgers don't need Ohtani to pitch, which is still the dumbest thing. It's like they're favoring, he wants to pitch. So they're going to let him because he's Ohtani. Like, so it's just, oh man, it's so annoying. Like, it's a combination of everything, right? Nobody's playing well right now. So it sucks. And when the issue is everything, right? The complaints are going to be all over the place, right? The offense hasn't been good all year, right? We all know that. But as I said yesterday, and I'm going to say it again, there's another level to this offense because the names at the top, right? I think that is true. There's another level to this offense. Now, is it ever going to get to the next level? I don't know. But there's a next level. There is no next level to this rotation. I'm sorry. Like, if you feel confident going into a playoff series with this rotation, you need your head examined. I'm serious. Like, I don't trust Kodai Senga as far as I can throw it. Like, can I trust Minaya as long as he gradually gets, stronger and get his pitch count up and, pitch good while staying healthy over the next month and a half? I'm all on board. Minaya should be fine. David Peterson is fine. But again, Kodai Senga was supposed to be near elite. He was supposed to be a top pitcher on this team. He is barely a middle of the rotation guy. That's how bad he's pitched. And to not even just worry about how he pitches, he also has certain rules that the Mets have to abide by because he can't pitch on regular rest. And they never helped him transition. So I blame the Mets in this situation as well. Like in 2023, when the season was basically over in June, they should have started gradually getting him to every 5th day. But when they did do it, he has a 5 ERA. So, yeah, Dolo, April. That was how many months ago? Right? It was 4 months ago. I don't hear about April. April was a long time ago. Right? But again, here's the problem. He had all offseason to rehab, get better, and all that stuff, and do what he had to do. Right? Everybody said nobody was worried about his health because everybody said, oh, he's healthy. He's just got to get right. That was the words. Get right, get right, get right. And yet he didn't pitch the first 2 games of the season. Why? I don't know. But great. He had a whole offseason to rest. Yeah, he better be damn good in April. but he never completes. Can he complete a season of being good the whole year or the majority of the year? Like a top 2 pitcher should be. That's why I don't consider him a top 2 pitcher. He is the same. He has too much inconsistencies. Like, that's the easiest thing to say. Yeah, Senga, Peterson, and Manaea looks nice on paper, but Senga's a joke. All right, Senga's not pitching game 1 of a series. Now, again, depending on what the Mets have to do at the end of the season in September, and they might have to pitch Peterson like the last few games of the year and Manaea the last few games of the year, we might not have the luxury of throwing Manaea or Peterson in game 1, right? That would be the Mets luck, right? That would absolutely be the Mets luck. Like, oh, we got to wait until the final couple of games of the year to make the playoffs or be firmly in the playoffs. And then we have to use Peterson and Manaea, and guess what's going to happen? Senga might have to pitch game 1, and good luck with that, right? Because Mendoza is pulling the plug on that guy as soon as he gets any trouble. As soon as he gets any trouble. And you know what? In the playoffs, you have to do that, right? You can't let a game get away. You got to throw your bullpen in. And with the bullpen, who hopefully is not overused by the time the Mets get into the playoffs, we'll see if that's okay, if that works. So, like, the Senga, Peterson, Manaea looks nice on paper, right? But Manaea still has about, 5-6 starts until the end of the year? Maybe, that's a lie. Yeah, about 7 starts. 7 more starts. Can he remain healthy and still build up his arm? Right? The Mets are trying to build up his arm, and he gave up a 5 spot and had to come out of the game earlier than expected. Like that is the problem. That's why, I didn't get excited about Manaea coming back, because I know it's going to take a time for him to gradually get stronger. And on top of that, we're not playing well, so we need him to pitch well. So not really giving length because he's building up his strength and not pitching great is a problem. Easy. I've been talking about the offense, but all the comments are talking about Senga, and that's why I'm bringing it up. Again, the offense is not good. Again, I'm blaming the offense from the 5th inning on, right? Senga couldn't hold a 2-0 lead. That's on Senga. Again, one time since the trade deadline, the bullpen has been given a lead with high leverage relievers coming in. One time since the trade deadline. That's the starters failing. And again, the offense needed to do something. They needed to come tie this game or go ahead from the 5th inning on. They needed to do that. 100% needed to do that. I agree with you. And you know what? When we actually got the hit in the 9th inning with runners in scoring position, a perfect throw ended the game. Right? And people are like, oh, why didn't you, pinch run, Taylor for Marte? Guys, Marte doesn't run like Vientos. All right? Marte was just rounding third when that guy got the ball. The guy had to make a perfect throw, and he did. There's no guarantee that Taylor would have scored if he was pinch run for Marte. Like, you can't just assume that. Marte had a good secondary lead. He was running, and he's Marte is still very fast. Not as fast as he was, but it wasn't Vientos at second base. Like, people killed Mendoza yesterday. Like everybody was like, there was nobody thinking, oh, let's pinch run for Marte. Nobody was thinking that. Of course, you're going to easily think that or, second guess it after the outcome. But nobody was saying after Marte hit the double, oh, got to pitch run Marte. You got to pitch run Marte. Well, committee, sure. But even then, right, with Acuna, right, we know Acuna is an airhead, right? He doesn't think very much on the field and even on the base path. What if he didn't take a good secondary lead like Marte did? Like, what if Acuna didn't take a secondary lead? What if Acuna, didn't get a good jump on the ball after McNeil hit it? So, like, that's the thing. Like, we just assume that Taylor would have scored and assume Acuna, with the fastest guy on the team, would have done that, would have scored. But he might have not have made. Yeah, but Alex, you can't just assume that, right? Why would Taylor get a better jump than Marte did? Why would Acuna have a secondary lead? Maybe he was staying closer to the bag and maybe missed a few steps coming to home plate. Like, there's so many obstacles, and just assume, oh, Marte. And by the way, Marte is pretty fast. Like, let's not act like he's Vientos here. He's faster than Alonso. Right? He's faster than most guys that are currently in this lineup, other than probably a couple. Yeah, Alex, I understand that, but that doesn't mean it happens. Like, Acuna's an airhead. The guy doesn't think very well. He has a bad baseball mind. Why did we just assume he would get a good secondary lead? Bruce, his base run is elite because he's fast, but that doesn't mean mentally he's a good ball player and he's a good base runner. Like, he could have had a bad secondary lead. And again, I agree with you, right? There's a strong possibility Acuna would have scored. There might have been a very good possibility Tyrone Taylor would have scored. But let's not act like people were thinking about that until after the outcome. Let's not act like people were thinking about it. Oh, you got a pinch run for Marte here. Nobody was thinking that, man. Come on, please. Like, let's not act like. Yeah, well, yeah, because Alonso's not fast. Alonso needs to, rev up the engine a little bit. He's got to get going before he gets a little bit of speed there. But let's not act like it was Vientos at second base. There was a bigger gripe. Even Pete Alonso, anybody. If there was a guy slower than most guys on the team, and Marte is not slow. Like, don't get me, Marte's in the 27th percentile. Alex, you were probably thinking that. I know. You're never wrong. I'm sorry. Come on, please. Nobody was actually thinking that. Did it kind of cross your mind? Maybe. But nobody was like pounding their fists. You got a pinch run from Marte. Come on. 99 times out of 100, Marte scores. It was a perfect throw, guys. He got it on a one hop and he threw a bullet. Like, let's not act like everything had to go perfect for the Brewers in that situation. The catcher had to be placed standing right in front of the plate perfectly. Like, everything had to go right. The throw was online perfect. The catcher was standing right in the perfect position. And that was it. It was a bang play. Like, another second might have made the difference, but how do we know that? Like, we don't know that. Like, we just assume Acuna would get a good break on the ball, a good break on second base. How do we know that? Like, there's a lot of things here, and Marte did everything right. It was just a really good throw and a really good play. Maybe sometimes you just got to give credit to the other team. And the way people are killing Mendoza, they act like Vientos was on second base, or even Alonso for that matter, or Alvarez. Like, it wasn't that. Alex, I agree with you there. But again, Taylor is a fourth outfielder. That's where he belongs. That's where he should be. So Taylor's, and this is the other problem as well, right? Taylor is the perfect fourth outfielder. That's what he is. That's what he currently is now with Mullins in the mix. So you put Taylor in a better position to succeed, in my opinion. Like, Taylor got exposed as a starter because he's not very good being an everyday player. Now you put him back where he's going to thrive. He's a defensive replacement. He'll start occasionally. And, because every Met fan was thinking it, you'll pinch run for him when Marte's on second base. Like, well, Tom, it's not even about saving a pinch runner or anything like that. But you know what would have been the case? This would have been funny, right? The Mets would have put Taylor, pinch ran for Marte and put Taylor in. Taylor would have scored. You know damn well that position in the lineup would come back up somehow, some way in extra innings. And then everybody's going to say, why'd you take out Marte? Taylor's got a bat for him now, blah, blah, blah. And then it would have been the same stupid nonsense that everybody has to complain after the outcome. Like, don't complain after the outcome because it didn't work in your favor. It wasn't an obvious move. And we got to stop acting like Marte's a slow runner. Like, come on. Like, Alex just said he wants Taylor off the team. So if the Mets would have got rid of Taylor if they got rid of Mullins, who would have pinch ran? Then people would have said, oh, well, what about Beatty? Oh, what about this guy? What about that guy on the bench? Like, come on. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Like the fact that people are overly pissed off and making it like it was a no-brainer move, like Marte's a slow runner. This isn't Vientos. This isn't Alonso. This isn't Alvarez on the base paths. Come on. Like, we really got to stop. Like, if that's your overall problem with Mendoza, you know what my problem with Mendoza is, right? All those times he took out guys, rotation guys out early when they were pitching pretty good and couldn't wait to take them out with less than 80 pitches. That's my problem with Mendoza, right? Either because if you're never going to push these guys when you need to push them, and I don't know why you're not pushing them now. Okay, Alex, we understand that. But he is still faster than most people that you're talking about. Not than Tyrone Taylor. We understand that. But we're acting like Taylor would have automatically scored. And you're an idiot if you think that. Why do we just assume that? What if Taylor didn't get a good jump? What if Taylor didn't get a good secondary lead? Now Taylor should be, Taylor should have maybe played for Marte 3 days ago. Maybe he should have just played now. Don't even play Marte. Like, let's not act like it was a no-brainer move. That's the annoying part. People are killing Mendoza like it was the no-brainer move. It wasn't. Marte is still fast. Now, is he faster than 3 years ago? No, nobody's saying that. But nobody was just overthinking. Oh, you got to pitch run for Marte. You got to pitch run for Marte. Come on. Because you know what would have happened. Taylor would have pinch ran. He would have scored. And then it would have got to extra innings. Somehow, some way, that batter in the lineup, Taylor would have got in that bat somehow, some way, because it just works out that way when you're when we deal with the Mets. Taylor would have Marte's at bat would have came up in the order, and then Taylor would have bat, and he would have done nothing like he always does, and then people would have bitched, "How did you pinch run for Marte?" Like, it's going to be the same nonsense. Like, the fact that people act like Marte is a slug around the bases is idiotic. Like, it wasn't a no-brainer move to pinch run for Marte. He had bad knees. Yeah, the guy, you know how many he actually has stolen bases too. During that time, he's come back from the injury. He's been one of our best hitters. So you want to take that guy out of the lineup? God forbid if you tie the game and have him not available and you have Tyrone Taylor pitching for him or hitting for him. It was a perfect throw. The catcher was standing in the perfect place where he stood a little bit above the plate, where he got the ball just a little bit quicker and was able to get Marte on the hip prior to his hands touching home plate. It was a bang, bang play. Everything had to be perfect. If the throw was a little bit offline, Marte scores, and nobody's talking about a pinch runner. Let's be honest about that. Because the same people that are bitching and moaning are the same people that would have never brought it up if Marte scored. That's the problem. Like, don't let the outcome mess with your mind. Everything had to go perfect in the Brewers sense, and it did. This wasn't Vientos running. This isn't Alvarez running. Well, Bruce, we don't know that. But again, we're only thinking that Tyrone Taylor will score. Like, but there's other factors into that. Did you see how big of a lead, a big of a secondary lead Marte had? Like, the center fielder charged the ball perfectly and was able to get a soft liner on one hop. And by the way, with a guy in scoring position, they're playing a little bit closer and they're playing more shallow to get to a ball that might be hit soft. That was the other thing. Yeah, Alex, I don't give a shit about percentile. We're acting like Marte is slow. He's not slow. Like, you got to stop. This is not Vientos on the base path. Like, stop giving me that percentile shit. That's like analytical people telling me OPS is the end all be all with stats. It's a stupid stat. Right? Because there's too many people that says, oh, well, look at his OPS. Yeah, okay. How's Soto's OPS? It's well over 800. Does everybody think Soto's great? Doing great this year? No. All right? I don't care about the percentile. The fact of the matter is, Marte is faster than he's probably faster than McNeil. He's probably faster than most guys on this team, except for maybe 5, maybe 4. And yeah, I agree with you. Maybe he should have pitched Tyron Taylor, but let's not act like it was a no-brainer move. Like, we just assume Tyrone Taylor would have got the great jump that Marte did and secondary lead, and he wouldn't have been thrown out. Like, let's not act like it was the possibility here. And yes, first pitch is to 7-10. And interesting that Mr. Marte is batting third. Why? Because he's the only one hitting. How about that? Right? Mr. Bad Knees is the only one hitting on this team. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I'm not saying Marte is a burner like he used to be a couple of years ago when the Mets first got him. But let's not act like it was a no-brainer move, because it wasn't. And the lineup is interesting, right? We got and I'm sorry, Vientos is not playing first base. That's my fault. He's playing third base, which is still idiotic. So, and again, right? Here's the other problem. And let's talk about the lineup, right? How many bad bats that Mauricio had yesterday? Right? We got all the talent in the world, 5'2" player, hasn't done well. Beatty doesn't even play anymore. Like, Acuna's in the minors. He don't hit, so it doesn't matter. He's just a glorified pinch runner and a defensive replacement. And again, that's going to be probably crucial for Acuna to be in a situation in the playoffs. That would be probably more important. But again, if you need a big stolen base, it's nice to have Acuna on that team. But look at this stuff. Like, oh my God. Like, third base is a big ass hole in the wall. Yeah, says if Beatty is good for an error or two, Vientos is good for an error 2 or 3. So Beatty is much better than Vientos defensively. Vientos shouldn't be touching third base ever again. But here's the problem. This is what I continue to complain about. Why this roster contraption, the way they're set up this roster, makes no sense. Why is Vientos playing third base? I'm gonna tell you why. Because Mauricio's not hitting. Beatty's not hitting. McNeil has been pretty good, so he has to play. So he's going to take up second most of the time. And now Vientos, because, the potential is still there, as, David Stearns keeps on saying. You have to throw him at third base, who is the worst defender out of the other two guys. So there's the problem. Nobody is stepping up again for that third base spot. And again, the deadline's over. Congratulations, prospect huggers. Now, the guys that didn't want to trade Vientos or trade Beatty or even trade Mauricio are now stuck with exactly what you wanted. So all you guys who didn't want to trade those guys, or at least one of them, possibly two, and finally make a decision at third base and leave them there, you're stuck not playing guys every day again at third base. Like, we got to stop. This is why you had to get these guys off the roster, some of them, because it doesn't make sense. It's so much of a logjam. Acuna, who would have been in a good spot, I guarantee if Mendoza had Acuna, he would have pinch ran for Marte. But again, let's not act like Tyrone Taylor is fast as hell. Fast as hell. But maybe Mendoza would have made an easier decision if he had Acuna on the bench. But why isn't Acuna on this team? Oh, I'll tell you why. Because one, he doesn't hit. He's not good enough offensively to warrant playing every day. And you got Marte, you got Beatty, you got Mauricio, you got Vientos. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is insane to me. Like, nobody's even talking about this. Nobody's even bringing this up. Like, there was too many people during the trade deadline that didn't want to trade Vientos. Maybe wanted to trade Beatty, but Beatty was actually hitting at the time. Mauricio, 5'2" player, you can't, all that talent. You can't have him be another PCA, because we have to bring that up, right? Oh my God, we got to bring up PCA. Oh my God. Right, we got to bring that up. So you're going to live in that bed, right? Put that blanket on, cozy next to the pillow, and live with it, right? There should be nobody that bitched and moaned they didn't want to trade these guys complaining now about those guys, because you made your bed. Lay in it. Lay in it. Oh, Dolo, I heard it. And you know what? I'm so glad David Stearns said that. You know why? Because even David Stearns knows that the hitting coaches are a joke. So for all the people that want a scapegoat and just want to fire, Eric Chavez, because you can't fire Eric Chavez and not fire Barnes as well, because their philosophy is in tune with each other. Oh, Dolo, great. Drew Gilbert made a nice catch. Okay. Like no outfielder has done that before. Who cares? I don't care. If you look at it, he tripped and the ball found him. It's not like he was ready to dive. He tripped and he made a nice catch. Great for him. Who cares? As I said before, Tyler Rogers is probably going to be more important to this team this year than Drew Gilbert was going to be, right? The Giants called him up because they're not making the playoffs. So they're taking a look at him. Who cares? Like, it's crazy to me. Joe, most teams have assistant hitting coaches. We just don't hear about them. Just that Mets fans need a scapegoat, so they got to talk about, the 13, the bench guy that just sits there and is behind the scenes. Like, that's the problem. Every team has assistant hitting coaches. But everybody wants to talk about the assistant coach, hitting coach in Barnes, because Mets fans can't wait to talk about everybody else but the players. They'll blame everybody else, but let's not blame the players first. That's the other issue. So with all you Vientos Mauricio Beatty fans here that weren't willing to trade him at the deadline, your bet is made. There's a cozy blanket, nice and warm, just out of the laundry. Smells nice. Lay in it beautifully. Comfortable. Why are you complaining about these guys? You're damn right, Alex. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Let's start a winning streak tonight, right? We got Garrett. We got Montez. Who cares? We got Juan Solo. We got Pete Alonso being terrible. Brandon Nimmo being terrible. I mean, if Brandon Nimmo strikes out again, he might go in the record books. Like, my God. Lindor, can you wake up? Because I know 6-9 ain't going to do nothing. We already know that, right? Alvarez, no power shown. Nothing. Yeah, he'll get base hits because that's what we need. Where's the power, Alvarez? Vientos, where's your power? Non-existent. McNeil, good, but he's batting 7th. He's in between no man's land. And Cedric Mullins, you're playing baseball, right? You've been fine defensively, but you have 1 hit. 1 hit. Let's go. So the Beatty, Mauricio, and Ventos non-traders that a lot of people did not want to trade those guys, or at least one of them or two of them, to get back something that would help this team a lot more. And again, this is and I even brought it up prior to the trade deadline. I'm like, why not try to get Eugenio Suarez? He's better than everybody you got at third base. But Stearns is deadly afraid of that because he's way too in love with these prospects that have completely failed time and time again. And he makes it seem like they're not, which is hilarious. And then the pitching prospects that everybody wants to see, he will not bring up until probably 6 days from now. So we get another rotation. We get another time through the rotation before we actually might see these guys. Yeah, but again, Truman, we all knew Mullins was going to be a difference maker here. He hasn't been good. And again, this is his first time being traded, right? He was always on the Orioles. He grew up in the Orioles organization. So I'm not killing the guy, right? I think Mullins is going to be we're going to be pleasantly surprised by Mullins. Right? Did you see that ground ball he hit to second base? How fast, how hard he was running? He's a gamer, right? He's going to give 100%. I'll take that guy every day of the week. And I think Mullins is going to be fine for us. He's going to be better. But again, we all knew Cedric Mullins wasn't going to be a difference maker. That's why I wanted Luis Robert. Look at his numbers since the All-Star break. And that was a month ago. That could have made a difference in this lineup a little bit, right? All right, well, you didn't want to trade Vientos and Acuna and possibly another prospect like Ewan or Santucci, right? You know how easier it would have been for Mendoza to start Mauricio every day if you were going to give up Vientos and Acuna? You could start Mauricio every day. Imagine that. That should be the case. One of these guys, look, Mendoza needs to pick a guy. You can't have Mauricio play yesterday and then Vientos play today. Beatty plays tomorrow. Maybe Vientos DHs. But you can't really do that because Vientos not hitting. Marte's hitting. So you got to DH Marte. You see how that works? It fucks up the roster construction. It doesn't make sense. So the lineup, the best hitter on the team, Starlin Marte. DH and batting third. Look at the lineup. We got Lindor Soto 1-2. Alonso Nimmo 4-5. And then nothing after that. You know, McNeil's okay. No problem. You got Vientos at third base, not first base. Excuse me. That was a typo. Alvarez catching. So both of these guys, Vientos and Alvarez, where everybody didn't want to trade Vientos because of what he did last year, like it matters. It doesn't. Alvarez, who went to the minors, according to the Mets, to fix his defense, but they said, well, he worked on his hitting on his own. Great. He's showing no power. He's just, you know, trying to hit base hits only, and that's nice and all. But we need this guy to hit some power. And Cedric Mullins is batting ninth, which I like him in the 9 hole. And again, I think Mullins is we're going to be pleasantly surprised with Mullins. I think he's going to be fine for us. Again, he's a grinder, right? He's going to give you 110% every single time, right? A slow ground ball to second base, he's busting out of the box, which he should. But it's nice to see that he's hustling, which we can't say for other guys. So, yeah, Joel, it's beautiful, right? Yeah, Dolo, but that's the problem. Like, I'm telling you, Vientos and Acuna isn't a high price to pay for Luis Robert when Acuna can't hit at the major league level. He is a glorified pinch runner and defensive replacement. Vientos is a shell of himself from last year. He hasn't adjusted at all. And we're not willing to trade those guys for a guy that has been hitting since the All-Star break. And he's been killing it since the All-Star break. He hasn't just been good. He's been damn good. And you could actually put him right in the middle of that lineup in the 5 hole. It would have been perfect. And again, I'm not saying Luis Robert would have just came to the Mets and do what he's been doing with the White Sox, but the potential was so much there. We knew it. And he's showing everybody. Like, it's so annoying. Everybody who didn't want him. And you know what? The Phillies got Bader, and Bader has been better than Mullins at the moment. But people who didn't want to give up what they were willing to take for Luis Robert are probably hitting themselves in the head right now. Now, not David Stearns, because he thinks that, you know, he's a genius and Cedric Mullins was the better option. No, Cedric Mullins was cheaper. So you went the lesser route for cheaper. So that's your GM, ladies and gentlemen. So let's, like Alex said, let's start a winning streak tonight in about 25 minutes. Let's get it done. Garrett Montas, step up. Let's go. Let's go. The lineup, wake up. That'd be nice. Good too. No, he's not. Stop it. Like, again, people love to bring up numbers and stats for this year, yet can't wait to defend Vientos with last year's numbers. Don't do that. Vientos is not a better player than Luis Robert. You want to know why? And it has nothing to do with hitting. He's a better defender, and he steals bases. Even just those two things are better than Vientos. And oh, by the way, he has better numbers offensively than Vientos. The averages are a little better for Vientos, but he has more home runs and more RBIs than Mark Vientos. He is a better player. And he's a good defender, which Vientos is not. He steals bases, which Vientos doesn't do. He would be a threat on the base path when he gets on, where he might actually score at second base on a base hit. So, yeah, those are upgrades. You can't play a third baseman every day because nobody's stepping up. Mendoza can't decide on who to play every day at third base and just leave him there because of the fact nobody's stepping up. So every day you're going to see a different third baseman. You know who's going to play tomorrow? Beatty at third base. You know who's going to play the next day? Mauricio. And Vientos is probably going to DH. But oh, wait, you can't do that because Vientos is not hitting and Marte is. You see that shit? You see that shit? That's why it's stupid. The roster construction is dumb. Just because they're top prospects and you throw them in Major League Baseball doesn't mean it's going to work out. Because most of the time when teams actually bring up their top prospects, they have an open position where they play. Not the same guys that play the same positions on the roster. The manipulation is stupid. The construction is stupid. Okay, but Vientos had a hitting streak. He had 1 home run in that hitting streak. Singles is not what we need from Vientos. I'm sorry. We need power from Mark Vientos. We don't need him getting on base, slugging it up on the base pad. That is not beneficial. Like, he has an 11-game hitting streak. Great. He has 1 home run in that stretch. What is that doing for us? He's not a good base runner. He's slow as molasses. And he gets a base hit and he slows up the base pad. So he needs 2 hits at least to get home. It's silly. Sure, good too. He could have won the game. See the could part? Here's the problem. If Vientos was actually hitting, he would have been playing and nobody would have complained about it. But because Vientos is not hitting, Mendoza has to second guess the at-bat for Vientos. You see how that trickles down and how it works? That's why people don't realize the fact that when Vientos is not hitting or somebody is not hitting, the manager has a second thought of either pinch hitting for that guy or leaving him in. Vientos is the problem, not Mendoza. Not the reason that they pinch hit Beatty for Vientos. The problem is Vientos is not hitting, which leads to Mendoza second guessing, leaving Vientos in the game. If Vientos was doing what he was doing last year or close to it, there wouldn't have been a decision. Good tube. I understand that. But the middle of his streak of what? Base hits? With showing barely any power? It doesn't matter. But again, Vientos' season allowed Mendoza to second guess Vientos at the plate. That's the problem. If Vientos was hitting and being a good player, not a bad player, but not as great as he was last year, but a solid player, let's say a little bit above average, you wouldn't have to have Mendoza make that decision. Vientos allowed that to trickle in Mendoza's head because Vientos hasn't been good. That's why. And Marcus, I agree with you. But again, the Mets don't believe that then. Because if they did, he'd be playing third base every day and we wouldn't have this issue. He's a switch hitter. So let's not talk about matchups. You can't tell me Vientos is better against lefties than Mauricio, because he isn't. Okay, good tube. I don't care. And I agree with you. Good tube. I agree. But it wasn't a home run. All right? That doesn't count. It doesn't show up as a home run on the scorecard the next day. I understand that. But let's not make 2 home runs or the possibility of 2 home runs make it seem like the season has been a success for Vientos. The Vientos' bad season and inconsistency led Mendoza to have that in his mind. That's the problem. Yeah, Joel, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, what does Vientos have? 8 home runs? 7 home runs? Like, that's a joke. If Vientos was being hitting above average, barely above average, not even as good as last year, but a solid year, Vientos would have been in that game. There wouldn't have been a discussion. There wouldn't have been a decision to be made. But because he sucks, guess what? Mendoza has to think about it. Well, good too. Do you know why he's playing musical chairs? Because the roster construction, this goes back to David Stearns. All 3 of these guys, and at the time, there was 4 of these guys, play the same position. That is why Mendoza plays musical chairs. First off, nobody hits well enough to warrant playing every day. So what does he do? If Vientos has a bad game today at third base, what's going to happen? If he goes 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, you know what's going to happen? Beatty's probably going to play tomorrow. That's the problem. Like, that's the problem. Now, I agree with you. I think Mendoza needs to make a decision and just throw somebody out there and leave him there. But you can't sit there for 4 days when a guy goes 1 for 17. And when you have other options, you got to use it. And that's the problem. David Stearns is giving Mendoza way too many options at the same position. It sounds nice on paper. Oh, Mendoza has all these options. That's great. It's not. It doesn't work. This is why David Stearns needed to grow a pair and trade 1 or 2 of these guys. Make a decision on 2 of these guys to keep. One as the everyday starter at third base and the other one as a backup utility guy for the infield, and trade the other 2 guys for better pieces to help this team. Oh, maybe a starting pitcher? God forbid. Maybe Luis Robert, who is better than Cedric Mullins. That is better than Tyrone Taylor. That has been better than anybody we've seen since the All-Star break. You see how that works? The roster construction from David Stearns is stupid. It leads Mendoza to have more options that are not very good on an everyday basis. And he has to deal with that. These are top prospects that he has on the roster that he can't play every day, which doesn't help anybody. Doesn't help the Mets with getting good offensive performances, and it doesn't help the development of a guy like Mauricio, or maybe to get out of a funk like Vientos. That's why Acuna is in the minors. Yeah, but Mike, I don't think it's Mendoza's fault, though. Like, what is he supposed to do? Who has stepped up? Now, we all agree that it should be Mauricio. Just put him at third base, let Vientos DH, but you can't DH Vientos because Marte's hitting better. You can't take Marte out of the lineup as the DH. That doesn't make sense. Marte's even playing against right-handers now because Vientos isn't very good at the bat. That's the problem. Like, we all agree Mauricio should be the guy. But here's the other problem. You can't sit Beatty for 4 days, 5 days. You can't sit Vientos for a week. It doesn't work. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense. Then when these guys actually pinch hit at some point in the game, because that's your bench, these guys are ice cold. That is why it's so annoying. So, guys, the lineup today is Lindor, Soto, Marte in the 3-hole at DH, Alonso, Nimmo, Vientos, not playing first, he's playing third. That's a typo. Jeff McNeil batting 7th, Francisco Alvarez batting 8th, and Cedric Mullins batting 9th. How about this, guys? How about the Mets wake up offensively, wake up pitching, and play a very solid game and win a ball game? How about let's go into tomorrow's day game and the getaway day and have a chance of winning the series? How about that? Wouldn't that be nice? All right, let me just check the comments before we head out. Lottery roll machines, I like that one. All right, guys, so game's going to start in about 10 minutes, or 20 minutes, excuse me. The Mets are spiraling right now. They're not playing well. It would be nice if they wake up and play a good game, right? Tobias Myers isn't anything special. He has a 4 ERA. Get it done. And I think he has a 4 ERA. That's what I checked. Maybe I could be wrong, but I think that's what he has. Sorry, let me just double check. Let's see. Yeah, he has a 4.3 ERA. All right, this guy isn't a world beater here, right? He's not better than Woodrow. Like, can we hit this guy, please? Can we? And again, who cares if we go out to a lead because our starting rotation is giving up leads anyway? But it was nice starting off the way we did yesterday, right? A couple of 2 solo home runs, gave a 2-0 lead. Kodai Senga looking sharp until the 5th inning, then decides to throw 30 pitches in that inning and give up the lead. Can we play a well-rounded game? And you know what, Joel? I think this opener thing with Montas, I don't think it could be sustainable, but maybe it does work. Because if you really think about it, let's say Garrett's probably going to pitch 2 innings, right? I would think so. If you start Montes in the third, usually his first 3 innings are pretty good. So that already gets you to the 5th, right? Let's say Montes gets into the 6th inning and pitches. At least you know, hopefully you have a lead by then. At least you know, all right, now we're in the 6th inning. Now I can go to my high leverage guys. Oh, possibly not, because we had to use him yesterday because Kodai Senga gave up a lead. All right, so, but let's see. Let's see. Let's get a win. I am doing a post-game today. It's already up. And if you stay on the stream, it's going to take you to the post-game show stream. Hit that like button early, guys, and I'll see you on the post-game whenever the game is over. Guys, let's talk about a win and spin those goddamn W's for our boy CP for tonight for the post-game show, guys. So enjoy the game, guys. I'll see you later tonight in the post-game, and let's go Mets, guys. Let's go.
Seven train rumble, headed to the field. Orange and blue vibes, the energy revealed. Brooklyn to Queens, repping both hoods. Rob and CP, keep it fire misunderstood. Hear 'em all loud, let the